Alright, so we are continuing our LangGraph series, and in this video what I wanted to talk about is how you can bring human in the loop and how you can incorporate a human feedback while creating an agent using LangGraph, right? So it might be the case that your LangGraph workflow or the flow engineering that you have designed using a LangGraph has certain calls which are very expensive, right? So it has several tools at its disposal. So the agent can have a lot of tools at its disposal. And whenever there is an expensive tool call which the LangGraph wants to make, so what you can do is you can bring a human in the loop, and based on the human input, whether the human approves that execution of that tool call, so the further steps will be carried out. And if the human doesn't want to do that tool call, he can, or he or she can just reject that tool call and come out of the loop, right? So first of all, like the regular installations which are required, then I am getting the credentials which are like OpenAI API key and also the Tabulai API key. So if you don't have a Tabulai API key, you can go to their website and create a API key. So I am using the Google Colab secrets here. So using those secrets, I am initializing this to environment variables. And once that is done, I am initializing the LLM, the chat OpenAI model. And then what I'm doing is I am creating two tools. So one of them is like a simple multiply tool where at first I'm defining the Python function where it's taking two arguments and just returning the multiplication of those two numbers. Then again I have another function which is a search function. I'm naming that function as search, and there I am doing a tabulized search, which is kind of a web search. It will do based on the query that is coming to that particular function, right? And I'm using this tool decorator to make this function as OpenAI tool, right? So using this decorator, you can convert a Python function to a tool which you can use in the LangGraph, right? So once that is done, what I am doing here is I am combining the tools and also I am binding those tools to the LLM, right? Now the LLM has this tool at its disposal, and whenever it's required to make any tool call, so it know what are the tools it has, and based on the user query it will route the question to those particular tools and get back the output, right? So you can see I'm creating a list, I'm naming that as tools, then I am creating a tool map. So this tool map is nothing but it will map the tool names to the structured tool for each of this. So you can see, like, if you just print this tool map, you can see like the first argument is for on in this dictionary is the tool name, that is search, and the corresponding structured tool definition is present here. So using this structured tool, we will invoke the tool using in the LangGraph, and that would be much more dynamic in nature. So this tool map definition, which is kind of a dictionary, will help us to invoke the corresponding tool along with the arguments that it needs during runtime. So the other tool that we have is multiply, which is again a structured tool definition that it has. And then what we will do is we will bind that those tools to the LLM, right? And we are creating this new object which is model with tools. So that is that we are kind of binding the tools to the LLM and we are creating this object. And after that we are just checking how the tool call is working for certain specific questions. So I am just using this query like search from internet and tell me who won the T20 World Cup in 2024, right? So this is the T20 World Cup which recently concluded. So the LLM might not have this information, so that's why I'm asking uh, the model with tools to go and search in the internet and find out the correct answer. The name is search. Then also it tells you like what is the type of this tool, so it's a function, right? And also the query that is kind of a argument to this function, that also you can see using this, right? And once we have that, we can like use this tool map to get the structure tool and then kind of invoke using this, right? So in during calling this invoke, I am passing what are the function arguments that was present in this variable I, right? So using the I am getting the function name, and using that function name, I am pulling out the structure tool, and then I am doing the invoke, right? Using this tool map, we can perform the search. So you can straight away see that it's picking up the URL from the web where it has the required details to answer the question, and based on that it's generating a content, right? So you can verify like this, it has correctly picked up the URL which talks about T20 World Cup 2024 final between India and South Africa, right? Then we are asking another question, which is what is 24 cross 365. Then we can see like it's again doing a tool call, and it is giving you what are the additional quirks that are present using this tool call. Then what we will do is we will create the graph. So first of all, like we will create a agent state. So this agent state will flown across to different nodes of the graph, and that will kind of bring the information to from one node to another, and it will kind of do a message passing kind of thing. So these are so I have discussed all these concepts in detail in my LangGraph playlist. So if you haven't watched that series, go and watch that series. You will get a much more detailed understanding using this, right? So once we initialize that agent state, then what I am doing is I am creating a function which is invoke model. So here I will the state will be passed, and using that state I will get the user question, and based on that question I will make this I will invoke the model with tools with the question, and we will get back the message, right? So once that function is defined, then what we will do is the crux of this video is in this part. So where we are bringing human in the loop, and we are kind of bringing a mechanism through which we will kind of incorporate a human approval for costly tool calls, right? So the tool that we have at our disposal currently is one of them is multiply, which is just a simple multiplication, right? But the tabuli tool call may be a costly affair, right? So for that we will kind of check for human approval, and if the approval is kind of yes, then only we will execute that tool call, else we will come out from this graph execution, right? So what you can see here is I am just uh, looking at the additional quirks and trying to see what is the tool name, right? So using this tool name, I am checking if the tool name is search, then I am kind of taking a response from a user, like whether uh, please provide a response in terms of y/n, so which is nothing but yes and no, and to continue with the expensive web search, right? And if the response is equals to n, then we will raise a value error, else we will go to the tool invoke using this tool map which I have showed you, right? So with this once that is defined, then we will create the other nodes of the graph. So you can see like the other nodes which are like agent tool that are being created here, and also we have a router. So this router I have discussed previously in my LangGraph series, so you can go back and see what this router is actually doing. Then we are setting the entry point, and we are creating an app out of it, and we can like display this graph. So this is how it looks like. It will have a starting point, then it will do we have this agent which will kind of figure out like whether to answer the user question we need a tool call or not. If the tool call is required, then it will move to this tool node, else it will go to the end section, and once the tool is executed along with the user approval, based on the user approval, the tool will either execute or it will terminate this flow of this whole graph, and it will reach to the end state, right? So let's try with few questions. Like the first one is like what is 24 cross 365. So you can see like the selected tool is multiply, and then it's giving you back what is the result of that. So you can see like the additional quirks shows you like what are the arguments that are going to the inside the function, the first number and second number, and also the name of that function, that is multiply, right? So once that is done, we can ask the second question, which is like, who won the Cricket World Cup in 2024, right? So let's run this and see what happens. So you can see like the selected tool is search, and it's waiting for your user input. So if I now I can understand that this is a very recent type of question, which is like, who won the World Cup in 2024. So for this to and give an answer for this specific question, we have to do a web search. Otherwise, LLM won't be able to answer that. So what I will do is I will provide Y as my input or approval. Then it will try to do a web search, and it will try to pull up the answer. So you can see like the particular URL has been hit, and using that it is trying to retrieve the content. So you can see like the correct content has been retrieved, like India produced a brilliant performance to defeat South Africa in the dramatic men's T20 World Cup final, right? So the correct answer has been retrieved from the web, and that is being displayed for the user. Now I'm asking another question, which is like, who won the T20 World Cup in 2022, right? So most of the models which are like LLM models has the information of 2022. So for this we may not need to do a web search, and based on the LLM's knowledge we can bring back the answer for this question. So once I run it, so what I will do is I will not approve the tool call for this. So I will put N as an input for this approval state, and we can see it's throwing out an error, and it's coming out from the graph execution, and the agent has been stopped and it is throwing an error. So you can like give a proper error message for this and say that this does not require a web search. So you can like pass it to LLM call and get back the answer, right? So with this, I hope you got a good understanding like how you can bring human in the loop, and how you can uh, value a human's judgment, and based on that you can like create this LangGraph agent, and based on that the user questions will be answered, right? So I hope this is a useful video for you, and with this I will end this video. So thank you, see you in the next video.